Good morning, everybody, and welcome to MC Webinars. I'm really happy you could join us today. We're very excited to be having a deeper look into FE Analyst. We have with us Anthony Horn, who is the Sales Director for FE with MZ. And so without any further ado, I'd like to hand over to you, Anthony.
Thanks, Debbie, and hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I'm really looking forward to sharing more about FE Analyst with you. So what we'll look at today, we'll have a quick recap on our first FE Analyst webinar, which took place last week. A quick reminder of why we've developed FE Analyst, key questions it's going to help you answer, and who typical users of the tool would be. Then we'll spend the majority of today's session looking through FE Analyst itself and working our way through the key workflows within the tool. So then, why have we spent the past 18 months or so thinking about and then developing FE Analyst, a new tool for the FE sector? Well, firstly, the central mission of MZ is to use our fantastic labour market data to help inform and connect people, education and employers. Now, the FE sector here in the UK has long been one of our biggest markets, and so we always want to continue to ensure that the FE sector has the best possible tools and support to help it succeed. The biggest influencer on the development of FE Analyst itself has been our UK FE Innovation Group, and the folks that make up that group from 10 or so providers across the UK have really helped shape the direction and content of FE Analyst with three important guiding principles. Firstly, to make FE Analyst accessible and usable and useful for a wider range of people across colleges and providers. Secondly, to make sure that the data and the content in FE Analyst is quickly and easily providing really important data that's going to help people in their day job. And then thirdly, to help the sector fulfill its central mission of continuing to help its local communities, people and employers to succeed. We've also then had a number of external factors which we've considered, such as Ofsted, their increased focus on curriculum intent, Gatsby benchmarks, so ensuring that student support services include the use and access to labour market and skills data. And then most recently, that increased focus we've seen that central government are having on the FE sector, so how local provision and skills may be commissioned and driven, etc. And we think we've hit all of those points with FE Analyst. It's always great, therefore, to hear people like our friend Andrew Cox from London South East Colleges, who are part of our innovation group, validating that and validating that we're doing good things with FE Analyst. Then finally, of course, we're all going through a very challenging situation and a very unusual situation with COVID-19. And we wanted to make sure that that was reflected in FE Analyst, because we know how important the FE sector is going to be to the recovery over the coming weeks and months. With all that in mind, then, we wanted to make sure that FE Analyst was centered around some key questions, so things that FE Analyst will absolutely help you with, questions that FE Analyst is going to help you to answer. Firstly, what does your local economy and labour market actually look like? How does your curriculum offering and your course offering map against that local economy and map against that local labour market demand? Which specific jobs and skills are local employers seeking? And what are the jobs and transferable skills that are needed now and as we progress through the next weeks and months, needed in your local area to help recovery from the COVID situation? One of those drivers I mentioned earlier, so coming out of our UK FE Innovation Group, was to make sure that FE Analyst was useful for various teams and people across colleges and providers. Again, we think we've delivered that, and we think that the tool is going to be useful across a number of functions: strategic and curriculum planning, your business development and employer engagement activities, then marketing and wider student services teams and people. So that's the background to FE Analyst, why we've developed it and the kind of direction that we've taken. Let's now spend our time and take a deeper dive into FE Analyst itself. This is a nice graphic image that we've produced that shows how the different reports in FE Analyst are helping to answer some of those key questions. So if we begin our tour on the left-hand side here, what is happening in your local and regional economy? What does your local economy and labour market actually look like? We can begin to answer those questions in FE Analyst with our economy overview report, which we see here on the FE Analyst homepage. So if I open up the economy overview report, we'll see a familiar option within FE Analyst. So the ability for you to set your own geographic region of interest. Now that region can be down to local authority level, it can be a town or a city, it can be a combination of those things, it can be a LEP area, it can be a wider region that you build up, maybe 2 or 3 different LEPs. It's entirely up to you. You build your region of interest. I've selected the region where I'm sitting right now, the Northeast, and if I go ahead and run that report, run the economy overview report for the Northeast, it's that single click report that's going to give key economic and labour market data such as population information, employment information, average wage information. If we continue scrolling down the report, we'll see qualification levels in the region, demographics information specific to the region, and then we'll see a snapshot of data such as the industries that employ most people, the occupations that have grown the most in the past 5 years in the region, and then as we continue to scroll through, we'll see the skills that are most in demand from all employers in the region and how demand for those skills in the region has evolved over the past year or so. So that's the economy overview report in a nutshell, which kind of does exactly what you'd expect it to do, given its name. It gives that overview of your local economy and labour market. Now, if we want to dig a little bit deeper into our regional economy and our regional labour market, we can look then at the industry overview report. That's going to allow us to focus a little more on a particular industry sector that we're interested in. So if I open up the industry overview report, again, we'll see that familiar option for you to select your region. You can change that at any time. You can leave it to the default region that you set, which I'll do here. Then I'm going to be able to select the industry or an industry that I'm interested in. You can do that by either browsing all of the industries in the UK labour market and choosing one, or indeed, if you know the sector that you're interested in looking at, you can go ahead and type that in. So I've done that here by typing in motor vehicle, and then I can select the manufacturing of motor vehicles and run that report for the Northeast. So that's going to show me more detailed data about that industry in the region I've selected. And again, just to remind you, you can change the region at any time. So I might want to add another region in now, and I can do that and see the data change. We can see how many jobs there are in the region that I've selected. We can see how jobs have trended over the past couple of years and how that compares with other regions as well. And we can see here that there's a much greater concentration of jobs in this particular industry in the Northeast, which absolutely shows how important making cars is in this part of the world. We might add in another region here if we wanted to see how jobs have trended and will trend in the future in our kind of investigations. So that's the economy overview report, and we can do exactly the same if we choose by digging deeper into a particular occupation or a job by running the occupation overview report, which is very similar. I'll keep moving though, and the next workflow as we kind of continue along this graphic is thinking about how we compare the economy overview information with your curriculum, so with your provision. And we can see how those reports sit again on the FE Analyst homepage. And we'll start looking into this section with the curriculum overview report. Again, I can set my region. I'll leave it to the default region. So what region or regions are you training people for? That's really going to determine which region you're going to look at here in the curriculum overview section. What the curriculum overview report allows you to do is to upload your curriculum plan. So we have a data capture process in FE Analyst that allows you to do that very easily, so that you can see your own curriculum data within FE Analyst. And you can cut that data however you choose. So if, for example, you see through a simple drop down here, you might want to look at all of your enrolments, just 16 to 18, just your apprenticeships, just your adults. However you want to cut the data, you can do that and upload it into FE Analyst. I'm just going to choose all September enrolments for the last full academic year, and then run that report. So when I run the curriculum overview report, this is what I see. So I see student numbers, so referred to in the system as completions, mapped to course areas or course departments. And then what we've done is each of those course departments are mapped to the relevant occupations that courses in those departments are training for. And for those jobs, we see how many annual job openings there are in the region you've set. So it's giving the view on student supply coming from your organisation against labour market demand coming from employers for jobs related to those courses. And again, you can amend this and add in course areas or delete out course areas at any time here on the left-hand side. Next report I'm going to show you in a bit more detail is the course validation report. So that report gets to the heart of whether a course or a course area is supported by job demand in your region. If I run the course validation report, I'm going to choose a particular course area. Again, you can browse all course areas, or you can type in the course area that you're interested in. And you'll see I'm going to amend my region. So I've added in Northwest. I've just typed in Northwest into the system because I know, for example, that we work with employers in that area. Then if I run that report, what I'm going to see on the left-hand side here are the jobs within health and social care that FE Analyst has mapped to that course area. So you can edit these jobs, you can edit these occupations, so you can delete any that you don't think are quite right. You can add in jobs that you think the system might have missed just by simply typing in a particular job, and it'll add that into the data. What we see for those associated jobs are how many jobs there are overall in the region that we've selected, again, how that's trended over the past couple of years. We can see the industries that are employing those jobs that we see on the left-hand side here. If we scroll down, we're going to see employers in the region who are actively seeking workers in this course area. If we continue to scroll down the course validation report, we'll see job titles that are being sought by those employers and the cities and other locations in which those jobs are located. So it's all really useful data to give that view of course validation. Are you in the right area in terms of overall job demand? Are you working with the employers that are recruiting those jobs? Are you working in the locations where workers are going to be needed for those jobs? Then the final report to show in this section is the course design report. So this is where we're thinking about skills and particular demands coming from employers to help you shape courses, whether that be new courses that you're looking to introduce or tweaking or amending courses that you already actually run. So I can do the same thing that I did previously with the course validation report. I can start from a course area. So I can start from health and social care because that's something I'm interested in, and I can run that report and see the particular skills that are being sought by employers for actual jobs right now and over the past couple of years in my region. Or I can start from a skills perspective. So particularly if I'm thinking about developing a new course or really developing the content of a particular course. Let's say I've heard that there is demand in my region for some particular IT skills. That might be coming from business development colleagues, or it might even be for employees themselves, or it might just be more anecdotal. So I can go ahead and type those skills in to the course design report. So I've typed in Java programming and Python programming, and then if I run that report, what I'm going to see again, the jobs on the left-hand side are what FE Analyst has mapped to the skills that you've chosen. And again, remember, you can amend these occupations, you can delete, or you can add jobs in if you like. Again, we see how many jobs there are that are requiring those skills in the region. Excuse me. Which industries are employing those particular jobs. And if we continue to scroll down, what we see is what other skills are being demanded in those jobs other than the skills that you've included. So we've searched for Java and Python, and you see the various other IT specific skills, and then the common skills that are in demand in the region you've selected. So it's really giving that wider, more complete picture of skills demands as you're thinking about and delivering your course design process. So not just focusing on one or two skills, but actually looking at the jobs that require all of those skills and what are the other skill demands that are in demand for those jobs that are related. So looking back at the workflow graphic image that I showed earlier, we've looked at the economy overview report, and we've looked at the industry overview report. We then had a look at the curriculum overview report, and we've then looked at the course validation report and also the course design report. What we look at to complete our tour of FE Analyst is the job postings and profile reports, which help us when we want to dig deeper in that course validation and course design process. And here we see those reports and how they look on the FE Analyst homepage. So if I jump right into the job posting analytics report, that's going to allow us to dig around in more detail into employer job posting and employer recruitment data. So we'll see things like how job postings overall are trending, and remember, we'll have set our region of interest, and we see how those employer job postings are trending as the days and weeks pass by, and we can compare that to last year. As we see here, we can see that COVID's had a significant impact on employer recruitment activity over the past month and a bit. We scroll down, we can see which employers are most actively recruiting people in my region. So this is looking at all employers, all sectors, all jobs, and for which jobs they are actively recruiting. If we then introduce our profile analytics report, this is data on people who are already in the workforce. So how do skills being asked for by employers in job adverts, on the left-hand side here, in the darker blue lines, compare with skills that are already held by the existing workforce in your region? So this is giving a good idea of where reskilling and replacement activity might be best targeted, as well as various other things. So we've gone there through the core reports in FE Analyst, but as I mentioned earlier, we also wanted to make sure that FE Analyst is taking account of COVID specifically, and so we've included an extra report in FE Analyst that pulls the most relevant data together that's going to help you plan over the coming weeks and months. So we look at that now in a little more detail. Now, if we think about what the response might need to be. So what's the kind of training response as we start to come out of COVID and as we start the recovery? Well, it's useful, of course, to remember that not all jobs will be trending the same, and certainly not all regions will be trending the same. So each different region and each different group of jobs will be seeing their own pattern of change as we move forward, as employees in different regions and employees in different sectors start to come out of the crisis and their businesses start to recover. But the two key bits of data that are going to help you in the coming weeks and months are employee demand, so which jobs are actually being recruited for, and unemployment, so what is happening to workers. And how do jobs fit against each of those two things? Because the action needed will depend on where particular jobs are at a particular time, which will of course change. We'll see jobs moving around as regional labour markets change and come out of the recovery. So that if we think about where jobs might fit on this chart, if we think firstly of jobs where there's relatively low employer demand, but there's also relatively low increased levels of unemployment. So there's not really a huge need for support for jobs in this section, just really small scale bespoke support as and when it's needed. Then if we think about jobs that are seeing high and increasing levels of employee recruitment as the weeks go by, but where workers haven't really been displaced, so there isn't increasing unemployment, then the work that needs to be done there is really around helping employers fill that demand. So there isn't an increasing pool of unemployed people who can fill those jobs. It's kind of where we were at before COVID. So good levels of employee demand, good levels of employee recruitment, but relatively low unemployment. Then if we think about jobs where there's both high demand from employers and increasing demand from employers as weeks go by, but also high and increasing numbers of displaced workers as weeks go by, well, that's when we're in a kind of rapid response space. So really quick redeployment of large volumes of unemployed displaced people into jobs where there's significantly increasing demand from employers is going to be needed there. Which leaves the final quadrant, which is jobs where there's a high and increasing level of worker displacement, so increasing unemployment, but not particularly high or increasing employee demand for those jobs, right? So this is where we need a reskilling solution. So we need to help move people from jobs that are seeing low or even decreasing demand from employers, but people are being made redundant, into jobs where there is demand and increasing demand. So by helping people and employers fill skills gaps through provision that you can deliver to help that. And perhaps that's the section where providers can really excel in the coming weeks and months. Now remember, the important thing here is that jobs are going to be moving around in these sections across different regions, and that's why the report within FE Analyst is a live report, which will be showing you that information as it changes. So that data in the FE Analyst COVID recovery report, it's going to tell you exactly that. It's going to be talking to you about the jobs and the transferable skills needed in your local area to help recovery from COVID. So as we've just seen there, how are the jobs moving around the different quadrants? Which jobs are seeing increasing unemployment and displacement? Which jobs are seeing stagnant or increasing employee demand? And where do the jobs fit within that? And then if we choose any of those bubbles that we've just seen there, any of those jobs, the recovery report within FE Analyst, it's going to show you which jobs are most comparable. So in terms of skills needed for those jobs, which are most comparable, and how are those comparable jobs trending themselves? So it's all about really making sure you have easy to access straight to the point data that's going to help you with your operational planning activities in the coming weeks and months as this data continues to evolve and change week by week. So that's FE Analyst. Final thing to mention is that you can export data out of FE Analyst to support any other systems or any other planning processes that you may have. So in any of the reports that we've just looked through, you'll see the export button, usually in the top right hand side. That's then going to give you the option to export to either Word or PDF. So for example, if you'd like some of the images, or if you were quickly sharing a full report with colleagues via email, you can do that. And also the option to just export the data itself out into Excel, so that you can use that in your own kind of data crunching. So therein ends the tour of FE Analyst. What happens next then? So hopefully you can see how those workflows and how the different reports in FE Analyst can be useful to you to help you answer those key questions over the coming weeks and months, and to help different functions and different people across your organization access the data that they really want. If you would like a one-to-one walkthrough of the tool, and if you'd like to discuss pricing options, of which there are different options, I'd be absolutely delighted to do that. We will be sending you the recording of today's session and also the recording of last week's session, and I hope to have those conversations with you soon. Debbie, do we have any questions to finish on?
Yeah, we have actually one good question, which is when the colleges update their data sets, can they do that at any time? The question is actually, can we upload our data sets at any time ourselves to perform comparisons?
Yeah, the short answer is yes. So we encourage that. We encourage you cutting the data as many times as you like, and we're on hand to support you in doing that. Great,
that's fab. That's the only question we had, really. Thanks, Anthony.
Fantastic. Well, thanks everyone for joining us this morning. I hope that's been useful. We will, as I said, share this information with you, and I encourage you to share it with colleagues. And I look forward to speaking to you all individually in the coming days. Have a great day.